right, welcome back to another episode of Beer, Bacon, and Bros. Tonight is just Keith and Chris. We're going to be getting into some new rule changes for the year 2023 for Major League Baseball. Before we get into that, make sure you're dropping some comments on the video, leaving some likes, and subscribing. We're on the push for 300 now.
Yeah.
So for all those who are subscribed, we love you. Thank you very much. But if you're not, go ahead and subscribe. It's free to you. It really helps us grow the channel. Come along with the journey with us. So. Like I said, we're going to be jumping into some rule changes for 2023 in Major League Baseball. The first major and probably the biggest, would you say most controversial piece of this year's changes is the pitch timer. Basically, what Major League Baseball is trying to do is they're trying to cut the game down a little bit from a 3 to 3.5 hour game to a 2:15 to 2.5 hour game.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't be able to keep people engaged and keep people there. So, I mean, I see why they're doing it, and it honestly makes a little bit of sense because it definitely helps speed the process up and speed the game up.
Yeah.
So basically what's happening is they're implementing a pitch timer to where the pitcher has 15 seconds to make his pitch with the bases empty,
yep, and
20 seconds to make a pitch if there is a runner on base.
Yep.
And I think what happens if the pitcher does not make their pitch within that amount of time, it's a ball, correct?
Yeah.
So if for instance, if the first inning of the game, the pitcher has 15 seconds to make a pitch, if he doesn't make the pitch within 15 seconds, it's a ball.
Yep.
Part of the controversy in this is speeding up the time for a pitcher to make their pitch. Because a lot of these pitchers, I don't know if any of you guys have ever watched pitchers pitch, like in slow motion, the torque and just the wear and tear on somebody's arm of making some of these pitches is just insane. So a lot of people are saying that this could really hurt pitchers in the long run as far as arm injuries.
Yeah.
So, but a key piece to this is they do get to step off. What was it? One time?
They get 2 disengagements, meaning they can either throw over and do a pickoff attempt, or they can step off.
Right.
They get 2 disengagements per batter.
Correct. And if they go over that, it's considered a balk.
Yeah.
So meaning if there's a guy on first, he goes to second.
Yeah. Interesting part of this is the hitter gets 1 timeout per plate appearance.
And they have to be in the batter's box by the time the pitch clock hits 8 seconds.
Yes, or it's considered a strike. So,
which we've already seen this
in the Atlanta and Boston game, the very first game of spring training. That's how the game ended. It was a strikeout because
was it a strikeout or a walk?
It was a strikeout.
It was a strikeout
because
okay.
The Atlanta hitter didn't get back in the box within 8 seconds.
Yeah. So the controversy is, like I said, one, some people don't want the game to be sped up like this. 2, the controversy is the pitcher's health and their arm safety.
Yeah.
But the good thing about it is if they don't make the disengagement or they just hold the ball, they can still set themselves up. Just take a ball and be able to be able to give themselves a little bit of time to breathe and get there and get back in the rotation they want to be in. So
yeah, I think the 2 stats that I saw that were interesting about the pitch timer was the limit of pickoff attempts, which I thought this was going to be a negative in my mind. Is if you know that the pitcher has already used his 2 disengagements for this batter,
you can get a better jump.
Yeah, you can get a better jump, and I mean, you can just go. Like you already know that you're going to be able to try and have an advantage steal. Like 26% more stolen bases in the minors this past season, which is a part of the game that's kind of gone away.
Yeah, so small ball is really going away.
I'm interested to see that kind of come back and see if it plays a big thing, and then. And obviously, reducing the game by almost 30 minutes was the average in the minors this past year. I am so for this in the regular season.
Absolutely.
I don't particularly love this in the postseason.
So I was actually listening to this on the radio today. They're looking. So obviously, they want this change. They want this to be in, but if this becomes a problem, because clearly you can't have a game end like this in the regular season. And God forbid...
You can't have a game end like this in the regular season.
Well,
you can't have a game like this in the postseason.
That's what I was going to say. God forbid you can't have this happen in the postseason, let alone the World Series.
Yeah.
So at some point, I think they're going to have to reevaluate what they look at it's bad enough if this does happen in the regular season. You don't want a game to end like this in the regular season. If you're baseball, you don't want your team to lose because your pitcher didn't take a pitch.
There's 162 games.
No, I know, but still,
games.
but I mean, if you're at a game and it's bases loaded, 3-2, and your pitcher doesn't make a pitch, and and your team loses because they walk in a run. How mad are you gonna be that you paid to watch that?
I'm gonna say, "Oh, this sucks. I hate I wasted my money." But there's 162.
No,
games.
I get that.
There's too many games in baseball. It's been like this for too many years.
But
this is needed in regular season.
So the other thing that this is probably going to help is this is going to help batters in a sense is you're probably going to see velocity come down. So you're going to see a lot. You're going to see a lot more hits come from this, or at least a lot more contact come because the velocity is going to come down because the pitchers aren't going to be able to have the time that they need to be able to rear back and just let it rip.
Well, I would say you're just going to see less lengthy starts from people. I mean, this has already kind of been a thing in baseball for the regular season where they're trying to let their starters go 5 or 6, 5.5 innings.
They bring somebody
and then they start the bullpen and they feel good about their arms. That's probably where you're going to continue to see baseball go, to where they're saying to their starter, "Hey, I need you to give me 5 good innings and we're going to go to the bullpen," right? And with an extra player on the roster now, they're up to 27, 28.
It was 26. It's probably 27 now.
Yeah, that you get enough bullpen guys that you have enough arms to consistently be doing that every day. So,
the second rule change that was implemented is the shift restriction, which I'm a big proponent. I love this, saying that you can only have two position players on either side of the field at one time. So this takes away taking your third baseman over, making him be essentially another right fielder for a left-handed hitter. So
I hate it.
I like it. I absolutely love it because you're gonna see more hitting because of this.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest with you, even when these guys do hit into the shift, I mean, it's I don't know. They're hitting to where the second baseman is anyway.
I almost want to argue that you're going to see. I mean, you're going to see like the second baseman playing just off the bag. You're going to see the shortstop playing just off second base, to where it's still kind of a shift.
Right, but it's not. But it's not. You don't have 5 people on one side of the fucking field.
I understand that. Yeah.
So I mean,
I was always a proponent of just shut up and hit it the other way, or learn to hit it the other way. I mean,
just bunt.
I mean, you're all getting paid over $10 million. The people that are getting shifted on are all people that are getting paid over $10 million because they all hit a bunch of homers. Like, bunt, hit it the other way, learn how to do it. You're getting paid for it, but will it make the game better? Will it produce more offense? Yes.
It's definitely going to decrease your strikeouts because the hitters are not trying to go the other way the whole time.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be as many swing and misses. There's not going to be as many pop outs because they're not trying to go the other way.
Yeah.
The third rule change that they brought in, this one's mainly for player safety, was they implemented bigger bases. So for first, second, and third base, they went from the standard 15-inch bag to an 18-inch bag. This mainly, like I said, was to impact player safety, so that way they're not. Was mainly for like.
It's a lot of the cleat running into it at first, second. I mean, I understand. It also gives a person trying to steal a bag, a bigger bag to try and hold on to. You're not having to kind of break your wrist, getting caught up in a second baseman or shortstop's ankle while you're sliding in. So. Obviously, the first baseman, there's been so many terrible-looking injuries we've seen.
Because they just
step
run
on the
into
first baseman's ankle or a pitcher's ankle. So, pitcher's ankle that's covering the first base. I remember Tim Hudson had that happen to him when he was a Brave.
Yeah.
So,
and then the next year he popped his Achilles going out there too.
Yeah, poor guy. So, I'm with it. I mean, what they say is it reduced injury events near the bases more than 13% in the minors this past season. I really don't see any negatives around this. I mean, I know some of the guys are complaining about how big the bags are and stepping on them and trying to turn corners and.
Yeah, so I mean, I can definitely see where it kind of limits somebody making those turns.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to it being an 18-inch bag. They're used to the smaller 15-inch bag. So I can definitely see that. I mean, I don't necessarily see any negative in this other than the potential of someone just rounding a bag weird.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to seeing it. Now, granted, last year in the minors they had all these changes.
Yep.
So the minors had all this last year. So in spring training, you're not really going to see a lot of the younger guys really
complain about
this because they're used to it. It's gonna be your veterans who are going to complain about it. Which a lot of them have already been very vocal about it. Mainly J.D. Martinez, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. They've all come out and they've been like, yeah, we don't like this. So, but that's why they're implementing it in spring training so that when they have 6 weeks to get used to it before the regular season. But just going back over the 3 different rule changes. I mean, obviously you don't really care for the shift. What do you take away from the I guess mainly the pitch clock in this situation?
Yeah, I love the pitch clock in the regular season. I've been a big proponent of there's just too many games in baseball. I think the 162 is just so long, man. Like I get it, and it's hard. It would be very hard for baseball to change the 162 games because that's what they've been at, right?
Yeah,
like your records are set around 162 games.
Right.
If you go down, you're basically like never giving anybody a chance to break your records. So I think that it's a little bit harder to kind of back off that. But can we speed up the game? Can we make them happen? Because there's just so many. They're so pointless. Like one game is really not going to make a difference. And if it gets down to one game, you shouldn't have let your season get down to one game, right? You had 161 other games to make a difference. So that's my opinion on it. I feel the same way about basketball. I feel like the NBA at 82 games is too long.
So where do you stand with like some of these old timers that are coming out and saying, baseball's been one of those sports that we've never had a clock. Why implement a clock now?
Dude, I have watched videos this week, and it has been postseason baseball, which is why
they'll go 5 hours, but a lot of that too, especially when you get to the postseason, a lot of that is sponsorships. And just the TV part of it too.
No. I have watched pitchers in the postseason. I've seen 3 different videos this week of a pitcher that took almost 13 minutes to throw a pitch because he stepped off, because they had a meeting, because he picked off 6 times to first base. I literally watched, it was kind of funny. What they did, it was a reel. They took the pitcher from Milwaukee, and they took Jose Altuve hitting an inside-the-park homer. Jose Altuve hit 7 inside-the-park homers in the time it took this guy to throw 1 pitch to the plate, right? I'm good with it. I really am not upset about that. I'm more upset about the shift than I am the pitch clock.
I know.
I'm such a figure it out, be better at your job kind of person when it comes to hitting with the shift. I think the pitch clock's fantastic. I am curious how it will go in the postseason. I don't know that I love having a pitch clock in the postseason because the games just matter so much.
That's where they're really going to have to look at this, especially if it comes down to a situation like that. Because like I already said, I'm going to reiterate it. You cannot have a game end that way in the postseason.
No.
There's absolutely no way you can have a game end that way.
No.
Now another thing, I know that. I mean, I know where I stand on it, and I know why they do it. But what is your opinion on them? I don't know if it was discussed, but I know it's been a hot topic. Was when you get into extra innings, having that ghost runner on second.
For regular season, I love it. For postseason, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, again, for me, it's more about do the games really matter, right? There's 162 games in the regular season. They don't matter, okay? When you get into the postseason, you're playing a 5 or 7 game series. Everything matters.
Right.
Right? And so that's why I'm going to defend, if they come out and they say, hey, no pitch clock, we're not
ghost runners on second.
No ghost runners on second. Honestly, if they took the shift away in the postseason, cool with me, right? Because all of it matters. And so I am going to defend the postseason. Honestly, I was very excited for them to kind of restructure it and make more teams going into the postseason.
Yeah, you have like 16 teams. You have half the league going into the postseason now.
It just makes more sense. It's more valuable. So
they realize where the money's at.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it in the regular season. I think it helps get games over with. Honestly, it makes players be good at bunting because if you start with
it teaches small ball.
Yeah, they're going to bunt them over and they're going to try and get them in. So. Yeah. For me, I'm fine with it in the regular season.
Okay.
All right. So,
well, those were the 3 major rule changes for 2023. You got the pitch clock, the shift being banned and the extended bases. So let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the pitch clock or the shift ban, as Chris absolutely just despises that.
Hates.
So let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll definitely get back to you. So we appreciate everything you guys do.